It's the RP show on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada and Game Plus TV with your daily reminder. Sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter at rodpeterson.com. Click on newsletter. It's free and brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Visit them at sudsregina.com. Kelly McCrimmon joining us, the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights. Kelly, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. And if I know you, this has not been a break. The Olympic break for the NHL has been anything but a break for you. How's it been?
It's been good, really. I did get back to my home in Brandon and a little bit of time at our cottage at Clear Lake, so I enjoyed that. I've been a fan of the Olympics, just watching, and yet you're exactly right. We have to kind of stay focused on the NHL trade deadline, which is going to come very quickly. It's only 5 games for our team when the Olympic break concludes, and I think 12 days. So a lot of things will start to happen in a hurry, I think, as soon as the Olympics end.
Well, I know how busy you are, so I appreciate this time. We won't keep you long, but I'll just tell you again, I really appreciate you finding the time for us. And
You're
I
welcome.
guess
Glad to be here.
you mentioned being, yeah, thanks, Kelly. You mentioned being a fan. Can you really be a fan, you in your role? And overall, what have you thought of the hockey?
Um, Yeah, I feel I can be a fan because we've got players on. We're well represented. We've got 8 players in the Olympics. We've got Marner, Stone, Theodore with Canada, Eichel, Hannafin with Team US, Rasmus Anderson with Sweden, Thomas Hurdle with Czechia, and our goaltender Akira Schmid is with Switzerland. William Karlsson wasn't able to participate; would have made 9, and Jonas Ronberg, who was one of the original 6 skaters named by Denmark, was injured the week before the Olympics began, so could have had as many as 10. So you watch those kind of like a father almost, hoping that your guys do well. Obviously, I'm a Canadian, so Team Canada would be where my allegiances lie when we get right down to the bitter end. But I've enjoyed it. I think you expect or understand that the first week, with the way that the pools are, there might be some one-sided games. I don't think it's a shock Canada went 3-0 or that the U.S. went 3-0 as well. But the games were more competitive than maybe you expected. I think there's been a great appreciation for the skill. I know, I kind of am somewhat amused almost that people realizing how good Mark Stone is, and of course. We've known that for a long time. I think Jack Eichel has really made a great impression in his games with the U.S. So yeah, you watch a little bit like a fan, and I'm more worried who's going to win between Vegas and L.A. on the 25th of February than I am in tomorrow's quarterfinals. To be honest with you, that's just the nature of our jobs.
Well, I'll tell you this: if the gold medal comes down the way we think it is, I'll be cheering for the same team you are. But you also mentioned half your roster, but you also got a coach there in Bruce. What do you
Yes,
think that's like
exactly.
for
Just
him?
asked you with the Canadian team. Apologize for overlooking that. You're right.
Yeah, well, no problem. But if Kelly, because I haven't been around you for a long time, I would assume then if you're that hockey fan, you're sitting there looking at the lines, going Jack Eichel between the Bash brothers, the Kachuk brothers, like that's just an insane line. Do you enjoy watching that, like the chaos that comes with that?
Well, yeah, that's a great line. I love the Marner Crosby Stone line. That's really been a glue line for Team Canada. So I've enjoyed watching 3 tremendously high hockey IQ players together, and that's what the Olympics is. Why it's so nice for fans and for the players, right? We're the NHL players are in the Olympics because it mattered to the players. They wanted that to happen. So when you get the chance to see those players play together and just take their games to another level, and again, I should have made it crystal clear if it's not obvious. The games to play, the remaining games, that's the Olympics. That's what's going to be just fantastic here as we get into the final few days of the Olympics.
Well, sure. It's like the World Juniors in that way. I mean, our poll question
Yeah.
today is what's the better tournament, the Four Nations face-off or the Olympics? I think you got to think about that for a sec because in the Four Nations, every game was great. Every game was tight, right? But I'll say this, Kelly. I think I do the Panthers show here. Doug McLean was on, and he goes, "Thank God I'm not a GM anymore. I would be so riddled with anxiety." And you know
Yeah.
why? The injury. And you've been around this international game a long time. How do you approach that as a GM?
Well, it's a double-edged sword because you're proud. I go back to my time in junior hockey. I was always really
Mm-hmm.
proud of players that were selected to play in the World Junior. It's a feather in the cap for a player, but it's a feather in the cap for the organization as well. And I said, tongue in cheek in our office, I'd rather have 8 players in the Olympics than 0. I think we've got some great high end players, so we're proud that they get the opportunity. We felt it last year. Shea Theodore was injured early on in the Four Nations with an upper body injury. He missed 8 weeks. We saw Kevin Fiala earlier in the tournament, who's a really important player for LA. His regular season is going to be over with the surgery that he required over in Italy. So that's the risk, and I guess that's the reality when you take all of the emotions out of it. Why owners aren't as excited about the Olympics as players are, right? Because we've shut down the league for a long period of time now, right? In a time of year where fans love to watch hockey, I think bigger picture, the Olympics is great for the sport, right? And that's the benefit for me is that just over the longer term, and even the Four Nations. And the difference with the Four Nations was, basically the Four Nations, it'd be like as if the Olympics were starting tomorrow because you had those teams and you know who they are, and it's let's get after it. So the intensity was through the roof. From the opening shift of the Four Nations till the overtime goal that ended the Four Nations. So I think that's what we're going to see now as we get to the second half of the Olympics. And you made the comparison earlier. I made that comment yesterday that the World Junior there's that schedule before New Year's Day when you have the round robin, and then there's the schedule after New Year's Day when you get to your quarters, your semis, and your gold medal winners. That's where we are now with the Olympics. Week 2 looks a lot different than week 1.
Yeah, at least they're keeping it in the same place. I'll tell you what, when I was broadcasting the World Juniors in Edmonton, we'd had the round robin in Edmonton, and then we're going to Calgary for the playoffs, and everybody in Edmonton was so down because it's just getting good, and we're leaving Edmonton. You know what I mean? And you've been there because you guys had the World Juniors, in your backyard. So, Kelly, I got to ask you this. I always swore if I had a chance to ask you this. Somewhere along the line, you said in an interview, you said, we're not doing anything different in the NHL than we did in the WHL, which kind of blew my mind a little bit. But I've never been in your chair. And that was early on in your time in Vegas. Do you still feel that way?
Well, I feel that my time in Brandon was, really important in terms of me being ready to work in the National Hockey League. The reason that I make the comparison, I should qualify it right off the top. The business piece is much different because of the salary cap and the challenges that come with managing a salary cap. But the reason that I said it at the time, the Western Hockey League, or the CHL, I guess I would say fairly, is a developed league. So you draft players at 14 in the Western League. They play 1 or 2 seasons before they join your team in the Western League, and then you develop those players. You have to develop those players. The schedule, for most of my time in Brandon was 72 games, so there's a real similarity to the scheduling of the National Hockey League. The rules of play are the same. The importance of players getting better on your team. I really feel strongly about that. And then I think, maybe the impetus for making the comment I did is I think how you build your rosters. I think the things that matter, building a team in the WHL, if you're going to try to be a championship team, your third line has to be, maybe something that makes a difference for you as the playoffs go on. Your third pair of defense, the depth throughout your lineup, great players, right? I know, this goes way back when you'd have been doing play-by-play for PA. We played Game 7 in Brandon. Winner was going to the Memorial Cup. And, as nervous as you are as an executive, I had tremendous peace of mind that we had Marty Murray and Wade Redden on our team who were great players. They were great juniors. So, again, in Vegas, we've got some of those similar types of players. When you look at the way that the Panthers, the team you watch most often, have been constructed, you see, some of those reasons you win in the NHL at the end are similar, in my opinion, to how you would build a team in Major Junior. And the difference in Major Junior as well, you can't just go and get a bunch of players in the offseason. You build a program, right? You build a program, you develop a culture. So I think those things are very comparable to what you do in the National Hockey League.
Thank you for the explanation. I've been waiting years to ask you about that. And I'll tell you something. I see Brian McCabe in the press box in Sunrise every game, and I get triggered. What trade deadline was that? 96?
Well, I omitted him. You're exactly right. He was another guy on that very good Brandon team.
Because we were right there with you at the end. Or
yeah,
I thought we were right there with you at the end. Maybe we were, maybe we weren't. But and he was a difference maker for the Brandon Wheat Kings in the short amount of time that he was there. I wanted to ask you this too. I was saying earlier, our number 2 region for viewership is Manitoba, which I can't figure out. They should hate me there, but they like the show. And you've won championships with 2 owners, Bill Foley, who you can talk about if you want. We all feel like we all know Bob because we see, or Bill, but Bob Cornell, Plummer. I was doing a little reading. What a special guy, the former owner of the Wheat Kings, who you ended up purchasing from. What did you learn from? I'm assuming you learned a lot from Bill, but what have you learned from Bob back in the day? Bob Cornell.
Well, Bob Cornell, for me, for my family, has just been an unbelievable mentor, great friend. I think really appreciated how hard I worked because that was how Bob Cornell lived his life. So I think we had that in common. Just really saw a lot of things the same way. He was the sole owner early in my time in Brandon. When I was 32 years old, he sold me a third of the team. When I was 40, he sold me the rest of the team. So I became the sole owner, but was unbelievable to myself, my family, and we I think we saw the game really similarly, and it's just a great lesson for managers. Your owner should never be surprised, right? He would kind of swing by the office, sort of his day would start around 5:30 in the morning. He'd swing by our office, sometime mid morning. We'd have a coffee, and make sure that he was up to date with what was going on within the team and everything else like that. But it's no different in any sport, any level. Your organization starts with ownership, and we had great ownership with Plummer because as you know from following the league as well as you have, the years before Plummer and I took over the team were some pretty lean years in Brandon. So from that standpoint, we rebuilt it together and had a tremendous run. I think I was 27 years there myself, and obviously the first 16 or 17 of those would have been with Plummer, and it wasn't that changed once he sold me the team. He's always remained a big part of our lives. I saw him not that long ago, in fact.
Well, I'll tell you, not many people would remember the Wheat Kings having leaned. I remember it, and but my dad worshipped him. I think that was right around the time Dad was working with you and Doug Sauter, and
Bill.
So there's another synergy between NHL and WHL that I never thought of was ownership, to be honest with you. But and I also read that Bob was born and raised in Brandon, which I bet when you bought the team fully from him, that meant a lot to you, right? You wanted to. That meant a lot.
Yeah, it really did. I was and am incredibly proud of the Brandon Wheat Kings, and it was it was a way of life. It was our life. I always equated it in my own mind because I came from a farm family. It was like our farm, right? And that was the type of care and connection that you have to what you're doing. And I've been extremely lucky in the sport. I've been involved in hockey a long time, and I've had just some tremendous experiences. As I said, it's a way of life, and I consider myself very fortunate to have had the opportunities that I've had.
Well, certainly the banners and the roof prove that, and all the improvements and all the rest. But to the Golden Knights, Kelly, we only got about 5 minutes left here. In the second half for you, I mean, I know you're never satisfied. You look at the record, you see depends how you look. You're in first place, but I don't think that's enough for you, right? You're always going to be tinkering, always going to be adding.
Well, it's been a really different year, and it's my first experience with a National Hockey League team on an Olympic year, which I guess for probably most of the GMs in the NHL are similar, but it's so different because you've got, I always used to feel in junior hockey that those first 2 or 3 months of the season, you had some of your players that were worried about getting invited to the World Junior. So that sort of stole a little bit of the headspace from some of those players. Similarly with the Olympic team, the teams weren't named until the 1st of January. And as much as some of our players know they're going to be on those teams, I think for others, they just felt like they were trying out the whole time. So you've got sort of that, other piece of it. The schedule for all teams, not our own only, but across the NHL, has been different than anything that we've ever experienced. And even coming out of the break, we play 25 games in 50 days. Everyone's the same. We're all similar that way. So I think that where it's shown up is I think that there's been, since Christmas, we had a 5-game losing streak, a 7-game winning streak, a 5-game losing streak, and right now we're on a 2-game winning streak. So the consistency hasn't been quite the same for a lot of teams, I think is sort of what you see. And what's exciting for me with the Olympics behind us is we'll all come back with a singular focus of trying to make the playoffs and win a Stanley Cup. So I think that's going to change things for some teams. I think it's going to be a positive thing. And when I say all of that, they got to get back healthy, and then they got to get through that stretch where they're probably exhausted physically and mentally, all of the things that you expect for your player coming back from an event like that. But I like the fact that we'll be down to sort of one common goal throughout the organization. And the year that we won the Stanley Cup in 2023, at that time it was what they call the bye week, the All-Star game. So there's that 7 to 10 day break. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but we were leaking a little bit of oil going into the break, and then coming out of the break, we really took off. And I think that we finished maybe 22-4-1 or something like that. Coming out of that break, Edmonton did the very same. We had to win game 82 to finish first in the conference. But again, I think the schedule is so much of a grind for players. I think that it just provides some clarity now. When everybody gets home from Italy, we get our guys are back skating today. We get a couple of practices. I'm really excited about the balance of the regular season. And obviously, to your point you made earlier, we want to win every night. We are in first. Probably Edmonton and ourselves have not been as good in January and early February as we would have liked, which as a result has seen our division really it's up for grabs for any one of probably 4 or 5 teams. So it's on us to hit the ground running coming out of the break, and we look forward to doing that.
Well, good luck with it. We only got about 30 seconds left. Minute. How would Russia have done? Mooner thinks they would have flamed out if they'd went in the Olympics, and Doug McClain thinks they'd have won it. In 30 seconds, what do you think Russia would have done?
Well, without jumping on the political stand, we'd be better with them in it because they're just so many fantastic players. And look no further than the state you live in. I think they'd have been right there with the top teams. That's my quick thought.
They'd have been in the medal round. Yeah, I think. No doubt about it.
For sure.
Awesome talking hockey with you, Kelly. I missed it. Thanks for this, and good luck with the rest of the year.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me, Rod.
The general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon, joining us here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV. We'll be coming right back with a viewer takeover segment and a sports update in a moment. 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us. 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge. And we'll be right back after this.